right-handed or left-handed?
Left-handed.
Left-handed, all right, so we'll probably want to favor that hand so you got your right hand to do stuff with. So I'm gonna say night-night and let her lay right across your lap and you say yum, yum, yum. That's what tells her that she's about to get her breakfast. Take a handful there and just let her eat out of the palm of your hand. Probably want to use your other hand. Yum, yum, yum. Zoe, yum, yum, yum. There you go. And she is going to eat quite a bit of this. So you might want a spoon. I'll grab a spoon. You can spoon handfuls into her hand.
Oh.
Alright. Just give her a spoonful at a time like that.
Perfect.
So gentle.
Oh yeah, yeah. This sloth has been hand raised for my baby.
Somewhere.
So this is Zoe. Zoe is 14 months old. She will be in 2 days. Her birthday is December 16th, so she is a year and almost 2 months old. She lived in the house with us until she was a year, and then that was when she began to transition to down here. So, you know, starting on her birthday, she would like stay an extra hour after an encounter just by herself in her room. And, you know, we've built up over time, and she's at the point right now that she spends about 5 nights a week down here. She still likes to come up to the house and sleep in her old bed a couple nights a week. But you see the way she is in the morning, she just like wants the people, wants the people, wants the people. And the reason why this sloth is so very, very people oriented, this one and Dash, the baby that you're gonna see here in a little while, both were raised by a guy who has a genius system of raising sloths. That his sloths are many, many generations of captive bred. He's been doing it for about 30 years. Generationally, this sloth is further from the rainforest than I am from the Pinta Nina and Santa Maria. And I would have no more idea about, she would have no more idea about living in the rainforest than I would about, you know, crossing the ocean in a schooner.
Sure.
But, so his mother sloths are all clicker trained. So click, 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 I'm gonna take your baby, but it will be right back.
Okay.
And so it doesn't stress the mothers, and therefore it doesn't stress the babies.
Yeah, sure.
So the babies, now in the wild, the energy budget of a sloth is so low that they can only nurse their babies with milk for about 3 to 6 weeks. They do stay with them for longer than that, but that's all that they nurse them, is 3 to 6 weeks. And she'll tolerate it while you're feeding her, but she hates being petted on the belly side. When we're doing this, she hates to be petted on the belly side. While she's eating, she'll tolerate just about anything, but after that, she won't want you to touch her belly.
Okay.
So the baby sloths are, even in the wild, they're eating leaves starting on day 4 of their life. So at 3 to 6 weeks, they're shifted over entirely to solid food because the mother just can't make milk any longer. The mothers will stay with their babies, in the case of a 2-toed sloth, for approximately 3 to 4 months. With a 3-toed sloth, they'll stay for as much as a year. But after they've stopped nursing them, they're just teaching them how to survive in the world. And so this guy, his baby sloths are being held directly by humans from day 14 of their life. And you know, it starts at 30 seconds, then 45 seconds, then a minute, and so on and so forth, until at the end the baby is being held 30, 45 minutes at a time, several times a day. And when the mother sloth weans the baby of her own choosing, that's when the baby comes to us, after the mother has chosen to wean it. And so the sloths get all these social advantage of being a mother-raised, while at the same time they get all the social advantage of being completely oriented people from birth forward. So the babies that are here are 100% people animals.
Kind of like your puppies.
And you said she
Yeah.
doesn't like to be patted on her chest?
Anything on the downward side, yeah.
How did she tell you she didn't like it? How do you know?
Because she doesn't bite you, but she just turns her face towards you in a not so happy way.
Is that what they do when they're upset?
Yeah.
Goodness gracious. Somebody doesn't like water.
They're sensitive about their bellies and their feet. What's fine?
I got a pile of ice on my leg.
Really?
There's this rice and carrots.
So she probably will go to the bathroom tonight. If you look at her, she's shaped like a little fat Buddha right now. And sloths eat a tremendous amount of food, but they go to the bathroom only 3 or 4 times a month. So once in 7 to 10 days. And so in the morning after she's gone to the bathroom, she's shaped pretty much like a cylinder. And then over the next week or 10 days, she gets more and more, until she's like a little fat Buddha. And at the point that she is like a little fat Buddha, that means probably the next day or overnight, next night, she's going to go to the bathroom. So they eat a tremendous amount of food. In the wild, a sloth will eat 10% of its body weight every single day.
And leaves.
In leaves, yep. And yet they go to the bathroom only once in 7 to 10 days.
Imagine their body has to get every bit of energy possible out of leaves.
Is this her
Exactly.
primary diet?
Yep, until the vet tells us to shift her over. That is her primary diet. She has been introduced to fruits, veggies, and leaves, but this still is her primary diet and will be probably for another 3 or 4 months. But the same guy who raises these babies is a doctor of veterinary medicine specializing in sloths, and he will be involved in the sloth's life for the rest of their life. So he weekly gets pictures of them and what they weigh and how much they went to the bathroom and how many days it's been since they last went to the bathroom. And he is a cell phone call away at all times.
How fragile are they?
Not
Yeah.
at all fragile. If a sloth falls from the rainforest canopy, it likely will be fine. They're very much like a slinky, and they have 46 ribs, 23 sets of ribs. For us, our ribs are just sitting in our pelvis, upper bonded by our diaphragm. And so if we stand on our head for a long, long period of time, or get into one of those crazy rotating chairs or something, after a while it might start to get hard to breathe because it's just putting pressure on your diaphragm. Sloths, because they'll be horizontally upside down like when you first laid eyes on her, or vertically upside down like when she was reaching down to climb onto me. They're in every different position all day long. That means she's done eating, she's ready to just snuggle up. Yeah.
Look at that.
Here, let's just brush that on the floor.
Floor?
Yeah. So she loves to snuggle, so we're letting her snuggle up for a few minutes until Dash comes down, Flash, and then it'll be his
I'll take
breakfast. And then after we get done with Flash, it'll be time for Dash's breakfast. And then we'll do some sloth care items. And then it'll be up to you. We can do more sloth learning, or you can just sit and hold sloths. Makes no difference to me. Some people would just as soon I shop and they just held the sloth for 3 solid hours, and that's fine too. It is your experience. But, and these sloths will sit and hold around your neck for as much as 10 hours a day. Yeah, our babies, when they come here, all they want is to be held. And she makes a little bit more of a noise than she used to. It used to be oof, and almost like with an F sound to it, like oof, oof. And I was all for naming her Oof, because every time you said it down, she stretches her arms up real big and goes oof, oof, which means no, hold me, hold me. And so usually she gets fed at 9:15 in the morning, so she was very much looking for us when we got here. So yeah, they have 46 ribs, 23 sets of ribs. But then in addition to that, they have connective tissue that goes all back and forth all through their body cavity every different way. So it holds their organs in the exact position that they're supposed to be in.
No matter what position they're in.
Yeah, and in my personal opinion, and I don't have any science to back this up, I think that helps them in the big falls, and she doesn't like to be rubbed. She just likes to be stroked at the speed of a sloth. And my personal opinion is that probably helps them in the long falls. Turn your head away. She's checking you out. She likes to smell people's perfume, lotion, whatever. And then she might start to lick you, which we don't encourage. So obviously we have our primary vet that comes to the farm. Yeah, their ears are proportionally as big as ours. Yeah. Dash will let you sit and do this on his ears, and he goes to sleep while you do it.
Now, does she have a favorite human? You?
Probably my wife. I mean, she hung around my wife's neck for hours a day for 7 months before she started to transfer down here.
So she's bonded to her?
She likes everyone, but my wife would be her favorite person, yeah. Because she's spent, well, I don't know, she said 200 days at 8 hours a day. That'd be what, 2,000 hours hanging around my wife's neck.
Yeah, so that's a huge time commitment.
Well, the downside of being my wife is that she has to be on the phone and the computer all day, every day, because she does all the business things. The upside is she has a sloth with her all the time. One sloth or another is pretty much always sitting in her lap. So as you look at her, she is nearly her full adult mass, but she's not nearly an adult. So if you see her yawn here in a minute, which she usually does after she eats, you'll see that her teeth, what we would call canine teeth, they don't technically have canines, but what we would think of as canine teeth, hers are about this small right now. When you see Dash's, his are about that big. Flashes are about that big. If you see her claws are about 1 inch long, and Flashes are about 3 inches long. And her hair, she's got her adult coat now, the silvery hair over the top of her undercoat. Hers is, I don't know, maybe max at 2 inches. His is max at least twice that. So body mass, she's just about her full size, but body maturity, nowhere close.
So you have 3 sloths on the property?
Yeah. And you're gonna hang out with all of them today.
Are these the only 3 sloths you've ever had?
Yeah.
How long do they live?
So the theory is that in the rainforest they live around 20, but they're prey animals. So, they always die being caught by a predator. There's no such thing as a geriatric sloth in the wild. And in the case of a sloth that was kidnapped out of the wild and made to be a pet, maybe 2 months. And in the case of a captive bred sloth who's lived with people all its life, 50 years. The Smithsonian had one that was 49. That one actually I think was wild caught, but that's a very rare sloth. And there's one in Germany that was 54, and there's one in China that's rumored to be much older than that, but it's China, who knows. But the 2 breeders that we deal with each have a female sloth that is over 35 and still reproducing. And no one can say for sure that it's true of sloths, but in the case of just about every other large mammal, females don't reproduce in the last half to third of their life. So if that's true of sloths, which no one can say for sure, if that's true of sloths, that would mean that they could still live a long time yet. And ours, I would think, would be on the track to live for a really long time because they have exceptional care.
Probably outlive you.
Say what?
Outlive you.
Oh, for sure. And there are a lot of sloth encounters out there that their sloths do encounters all day, every day. If you've been on my website, my sloths only do 2 encounters a day. Each sloth, not a total of 2, but each sloth does a total of 2 encounters a day. And for me, it's not so much the time spent with people as the number of people. So we are very guarded of how many sloth encounters our sloths do.
bet.
because we genuinely love these like family members.
Mhm.
And all of my animals here, we love and care about. And quickest way to leave employment here is be mean to an animal once.
Quite the menagerie.
Yeah, we do. We sometimes toy with the idea of rebranding as a zoo, but to me, zoo means place that you go and see animals in enclosures at a distance,
Yeah.
and that's not us. So all of our animals are see them, touch them, pet them, hold them,
Mhm.
and so it's very different. I'm gonna open Flash's door and tell him it's time.
Sweet.
Good morning, Flash. Hey, Bubba. You come down and see us? Good morning, Flash.
Yeah, so digging in.
She's a sweetie, isn't she?
Oh my gosh, she's wonderful. So what other animals would you like to obtain here for the farm?
I have to build more buildings before I get more animals. So like I have a fennec fox in the house right now that's not on display because I just don't have a good place to display them. But probably otters would be high up the list. Lots of people are crazy about otters and they're super cute and not very hard to take care of. My wife is all about getting monkeys. I'm not.
I had a monkey for a while. That was not a good experience.
I just, I was glad when my kids were done with diapers and a monkey never will be. So I'm not so sure about the monkeys. But we work on a pretty strict policy here. Mama wants, mama gets.
Mhm.
And so I don't know, it's probably a matter of time and resistance till we end up with monkeys. But lemurs are pretty good for display animals. We select all of the breeds of animals we get here based on suitability to interact with people. So we don't have any class 1 animals, obviously, animals that are inherently dangerous to people or the environment. We don't have any class 5 animals because that's just such a licensing pain in the butt. That is animals that are being held captive in the native that their environment, that they are native to, in the environment that they are native to. But 2s, 3s, and 4s we do have. We're seriously considering expanding our lizard population, but that would require me building, I don't know, like a steel building or something to get the hay out of this building and get the tools and equipment and feed and stuff out of here and using our heated and cooled space for animals instead of, storage. No point, because there's 3 HVAC systems in the building. One is for this half of the downstairs closed in part, one's for the other half of the downstairs closed in part, and one's for the upstairs. So the upstairs is the condo. And so I don't know, probably the next step would be better utilization of space, but any way you slice it, it's build something else.
Right.
And do they ever refuse to go to somebody? Like maybe
I
they
haven't
just
seen it yet.
instinctively don't like somebody? No?
We did change the minimum age from 6 to 8 on holding a sloth. For now, maybe it's 14, because sometimes kids are just too excitable,
Yeah.
and
Loud noise.
I will not stress out my animals. Just no. And we have some people that call and they're like, yeah, I have really an exceptional, however many year old, I'm sure it'll be fine. But they not only have to be calm enough, they have to be physically big enough, because I mean, she's a chunk.
How much does she weigh?
Probably right now 13 or 14 pounds. Her natural body mass is about 10.8, but when she goes to the bathroom, she'll drop around 3 pounds. Yeah, so they eat 10% of their body weight, and they only go to the bathroom once in a week or 10 days. So that's a lot inside of them by the time they go to the bathroom.
Now the armadillo that was running around, he just hangs out in this area?
Yeah, he buries himself in those shavings over there.
Okay.
And then we sprinkle various types of bugs in that dirt thing over there, and he forages after the bugs. And the armadillo and the sloth are both Brazilian rainforest animals, and so they naturally would be in the same environment, and they don't mind each other, so that's where he lives. We took him out of here though, because he tries to curl up your leg when you're sitting in a chair.
He looked pretty friendly. Definitely not afraid of people.
No, he's not.
How's her vision?
Terrible. Their vision is absolutely horrible, so very often when you see him, you'll see she's got her eyes slightly closed, and that's just kind of, focusing in her smell and her hearing. And if you listen to the way that she breathes, like, especially right now, I'll be quiet in a second, you'll hear that she's gonna go. Just to get right back to the smelling, because she's experiencing her world by smell and hearing.
Your puppies are gonna be so weirded out by the smells.
What kind of puppies do you guys have?
We raise Frenchies.
Okay. Oh, French bulldogs?
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. My daughter's 8 and she has to pet every single dog that we walk by.
Yeah, that's her. We have about 30 at the house, about 25 at the house right now.
That's a lot of dogs. Where are you guys from?
Just up the street towards Maryville.
Oh, okay, cool. That's not far at all.
Yeah. No, just a slow leisurely cruise down 411.
Yeah, we always tell people because they're like, "Should we take the scenic route?" We're like, "Yes, but make sure you slow down."
Yeah,
at
stay
every...
at 40. Stay at 40. You'll be fine.
I was like, "Don't speed. You're gonna get the ticket."
That's right.
We went and did that train ride that leaves out of Ottawa.
Yeah, that's fine. We did that.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get down through the gorge there and
Mhm.
watch the bald eagles fish and stuff. That's a cool trip.
I saw you guys on TikTok and I thought, oh man, I would love to do that. I wonder where they are. And then I looked it up and I'm like, they're an hour from us?
Yeah.
Gotta do that.
We've been looking out a lot recently with some of the videos really staying in geographical areas that it should be.
Right.
You know, it is nice when people in Australia watch, but
Yeah. It doesn't get you any business.
Oh, we've had 3 groups come from
yeah.
Queensland to come here and hold sloths.
Really?
Well, it's only, February. This year we've had Queensland, Australia, and Manitoba, Canada, and what? I don't remember. Inside of the States, we've had all the way from Alaska to
Sure.
Miami and from Maine to San Francisco this year. Last year, I think we were at the end of the year around 20 countries and 41, 42 states that came here to see the sloths.
Actually, somebody just said hi from Australia. Hi, Matty Boomstick.
Is that who's coming in a couple weeks?
I don't know, but they just said because we were talking about it.
Oh.
Somebody else from Melbourne.
That's a long flight for
When I was in the Navy, I was an E2C Hawkeye Navy flight officer, and we always had exchange guys from Australia.
Mm-hmm.
It would be Obama Brown, and then the next guy was Knight and Christie, and those guys are bred different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've got a bunch of friends from Australia. They're good people.
Oh yeah, love them.
Yeah.
They had a really good deal with their military, so they don't retire as early, but they get more perks. So like one of the perks is long service leave, that they can build up leave without limit. If they don't take leave in a year, it just rolls forward forever. And if they take long service leave, they get half the pay for twice the amount of time.
Yeah.
And so these guys, when they would come over, they would get paid in US dollars, the same number of units of money that they would have got paid in Australian
Really?
currency. So that's basically double
Oh,
pay.
yeah, sure.
So then at the end of their 2-year tour, they would take a year worth of long service leave. So basically be getting their full pay
Right.
and travel around the country for a year afterwards. So a lot of those guys saw more of our beautiful United States than most of our citizens have, with the exception of me. I lived in an RV for a little over a year one time and just rode around the country, so I've seen all of it. But
Yeah,
Not
I travel a lot too. I've been to Alaska. There's some beautiful parts of this country. There's some horrible parts too, but,
yeah. At the end of the RV trip, I'm like, here's one of the main problems with governing the country is, you know, a guy in South Louisiana doesn't think the way a guy in Minnesota thinks. And a
let
guy
the
in
states do it.
Seattle doesn't think the way that a guy in Texas thinks.
Cultures are different, attitudes are different, traditions are different. We need less federal government, no more. Let the states.
They're working on it.
Yeah, I know, it's good.
So what do? You travel so much?
I run technology for an alarm monitoring company, and we're the largest in the world. And so I travel a lot. I do a lot of work with vendors, our dealers that use us. We're a wholesaler, and do a lot of trade shows.
Okay. Which company is that?
It's a company called Rapid Response, but I doubt if you ever heard of it. Because we white label we're
Commercial.
For just about every commercial, residential. So we do rings work, we do Simply Safe's work. Thousands and thousands of independent dealers across country use us.
You guys need to make it easier to get into the back doors for all the IP cameras for me.
Yeah.
It's right now I have problems. A lot of them are locked out with apps, you know. So I want ones that are open, so that way I use them to stream.
Yeah.
But it's
If
funny.
you get anything that's OnViv compatible, then you'll have no problems with it.
I had Vivint when I had college apartments. I rented to about 300 kids at Old Dominion University, and we put Vivint alarms with the doorbell cameras on all of them, and it was really a good thing.
Yeah.
But leaving Vivint is about like trying to leave
It's
the
impossible.
mafia.
Yeah, because the products are useless anywhere else.
Well, no, I sold all of my property one time to one guy, and he took over all of the alarm contracts, and I don't know, 3 years later their service was so bad that he canceled, and then they were trying to come back on me, and still are to this day. They sell what they call my accounts to one debt collector, and then a next, and then a next, and then a next, and you know, I'll answer the phone with each new debt collector once. Have you heard of Fair Isaac? Because that's where we're going.
Yeah.
And that's
They
about
walk
the end of
away.
that.
Yeah, Vivint's an interesting company. That whole sort of Salt Lake City area has got a lot of those same kind of door knocker companies that do that work. We don't do any work for those guys, nor do we want to. You know,
Yeah,
they have
that's
a bad
a good thing.
reputation. They're just,
Yeah.
it's not worth the hassle.
Well, I was their first ever commercial company. I was their first ever contract that I had, you know, I guess 20 units on one contract.
Yeah.
But the contract was with my business. I sold my business. There never was a personal guarantee. There never will be a personal guarantee. It was business.
Yeah, those guys can be ruthless about their collections efforts.
For all the good it'll do them.
A lot of times it's the banks that own that stuff, not even Vivint.
Yeah.
They're heavily leveraged on everything. The head neck structure, they look like.
All right, Flash isn't down yet, so we're gonna let Dash get his breakfast next, and I'm gonna go get Dash. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Dash is in the house.
She's
Are you
sleeping.
guys on live all day long?
So we bounce back and forth, and then some of the other cameras that I have on, like, are stationary animals, and then the ones outside I rotate through that. And then I used videos that I've edited, so that way there's not as many pauses. It's basically like a TV show.
Yeah. That's fun.
But the outdoor camera, when I asked somebody to install it, they didn't put a weatherproofing over it. And luckily, it didn't short out the board. and Vitek gave me a whole brand new camera, which I lucked out because it's like really good camera for outside for spinning around. But a lot of times, like if we don't have encounters, we'll get out the smaller animals and play with them because it's good for the animals, and then a lot of times people don't get to see on farm tours.
You bet.
Working on doing more educational content, so then that way people can show it to kids at schools or homeschools, things like that.
Sure. Makes a lot of sense.
So what temperature does she like it in here? He said 80?
75 to 80 with a 50% humidity.
That's where she's comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Rainforest.
So if the,
Or south or anywhere in the summertime in the south.
and Flash even, he goes outside and she will too when it gets warmer. And so when it's raining and like 80, 85 degrees, he likes it. So he's just like sitting there getting his original outdoor shower. But if it gets too warm for them or too cold, they basically slow down or stop their metabolism. They don't enter hibernation or torpor, but they slow their metabolism down to below 300 calories a day, which is really, really low, and that enables them to survive. Because if the temperature of their body gets too hot or too cold, it causes the bacterial growth to basically stop. And so they could die with a full stomach because the bacteria isn't processing the food. So after she uses the restroom, we definitely examine it, and if it's too runny, that means that there's too much sugar, which is causing bacterial growth, and if it's too dry, there's not enough. So it would vary the diet.
So what I was feeding her earlier, that was what, diced carrots and just rice?
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yep. And then we add in a little bit of fruit to make sure that bacterial level is at the correct level.
I want to work here.
A lot, yeah. A lot of people are like, should I get a pet sloth? And first of all, we're like, no, it's a horrible idea. But second, it's a lot of work.
Sure.
All animals are a lot of work.
Right.
You'd have a full-time job. Cleaning up puppy mess.
If they could figure out how just to let you have the puppy for just like 6 months, I think that would be the catch.
We get some people that don't want a puppy, they want an older dog.
Yeah.
We usually have one or two around.
I have had purebred huskies a couple different times, and people are always like, oh, they run around and they chase things. I'm like, because they're not trained. I'm like, that's it. It's already in their instinct, and if you don't train them, yep, they chase everything.
Yeah. They need to be worked.
Yeah.
You need a good job. We have a shepherd that's the same way. She needs a job. She bosses around one of the other dogs. That's her job. She's a sergeant dog.
Do you ever have to bathe these guys?
So Zoe gets one every once in a while because she basically uses the bathroom on herself because she doesn't come down the tree all the time. But Flash, he never gets a bath. But she's only getting it because she probably has a little bit of an accident. And she's lightened up a ton in the last 2 months. Like as he brings down Dash, she wasn't quite as dark as Dash, but definitely not this light.
So is 3 the right amount of sloths that you want, or you guys want more?
Well, we might end up with more. Maybe even do like a sloth greenhouse with yurts inside of it.
Mm-hmm.
So that way people could stay kind of inside with the sloths.
There we go.
So we got some interesting ideas that we're trying to see if they can work. But even if they're, let's say it was just a gigantic area, they're not gonna all hang out together. They're gonna kind of be in their separate areas. Even when they mate, it's short-lived and then gone.
Okay, so you have lodging facilities here where people can interact with, this is one of the camel building?
Yeah, so right above us is the camel condo. So Flash's area, excuse me, is 2 stories. And so it's a plexiglass window, so you can see Flash while you're upstairs in the camel condo, which is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then the 2 bunk rooms that are hidden through wardrobes, like Chronicles of Narnia thing, they have portals that look down at either the kangaroos or the camels.
Nice.
And then the covered wagons along the river that are heated and cooled, the riverside cabin, and then there's a barn loft also, because some people want to be around horses 24/7. So
Right.
there's a.
How many kangaroos do you have?
So right now we have 8. So there's 4 outside: Rough, Tough, Damani, and Alora. Rough is the unneutered adult male. That's the one that has that kind of rust colored, and the reason he has that is his scent gland is intact because he's unneutered. And then Damani and Alora are the 2 females out there, and at least one of them is already pregnant. So that's good. That'll be exciting to have our first baby kangaroo born here.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people come to bottle feed them also.
Alright, we're gonna put her down for a while, go out here to Dash,
Do you
because she gets jealous of Dash. Night, baby, come here. Hey, come here, sweetheart. Good girl, come here. Oh my goodness. Good girl.